Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of the Culture Space podcast slash show or whatever. Today we're going to be talking about Avengers Endgame. We saw it last night, 6 p.m. show, and now we're here just to talk about it and go through what we thought and I don't know, everything. All the emotions, because there's a lot to unpack. It's a super, super dense movie, but overall, I think we're just going to go overall impressions first. Overall, I loved it.
Loved it. Before we get into the spoilers, thought it was very good. It went full circle,
Yes.
you could say,
Yes.
without really giving too much away.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not a lot we could talk about in the non-spoiler section, so we'll start. So full circle is kind of a good way. I really don't think we can say anything else.
You really can't. I mean,
honestly.
I loved it. Was very good. And be prepared to have so many different emotions running through you throughout the 3 hours.
All I can say is there's every emotion. It's not just, what you think maybe crying or happiness. It's really everything. Yeah. These directors, I think, are amazing at doing this. It's so ambitious of a movie. I don't know how they did it and how they pulled it off.
It's rough.
My first reaction when leaving, I think I was just staring at the screen. I think we all just kind of stood there. I mean, something to note, you don't really have to stay through the credits. There's no post-credit scene. There's no mid-credit scene. There is something at the very, very end. It's nothing, if you want to get out of there.
It's just a callback.
Just a callback to some of the earlier movies, but it's really, really nothing. There really is no reason to wait.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if you want to, just see all the names, people that worked on the film, because it's kind of massive. Yeah. It's incredibly long, the credits. So you want to just go right in?
Yep. Okay, so if you haven't seen the movie, pause this video, go see the movie, come back. No, some people, they have stuff going on.
But if you want to come to us, because we have good opinions. We have good... Yeah. We're both fans. And
I think we have really good discussions.
Yes. So that's why we're
off
here.
Camera. That's why we're doing this. That's why we're starting this. Hopefully one day we could start doing this on Twitch. We could bring you guys into the conversation. I think it'll be really cool. Start on a little Discord server and just have people waiting and then bring them in one at a time.
I think that would work.
So, again, spoilers are going to start right now. So, you've been warned.
You're warned. And now, here we go.
So
let's just go, I think, start with the beginning.
With the beginning,
Just go right in. Hawkeye's family just get murders. Get snapped. They fade to dust.
You knew it was happening.
Right.
Because there's no reason.
The minute you see it, oh, God, are they gonna just disappear right now? And they do. And it's the first thing you see. It's right before the credits, and it's super impactful. I think it sets up the movie nicely.
But I mean, that's not even really a spoiler. I'd say, just because you've seen the trail that he's Ronin. He's gone off the deep end, and why? There's no other explanation for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think
if one of his kids would have gotten snapped, I feel like they would have just.
I think it would have been the same. I honestly think it would have been the
same. But it wouldn't have been the same, no.
I think he would have just continued doing it. Yeah. Because it's a different world. And what you quickly see after that, I mean, that's the first thing you see right before the Marvel Studios logo. Mm-hmm. So, whereas in Infinity War, it starts right at, it goes to the Marvel logo right away. Yeah. They get you right when it starts and get you in the feels.
Yeah,
I think
they start you off good, so you're expecting.
But the beginning in general is kind of slow, I'd say. I think it kind of. I mean, I think it's such a hard thing to kind of pick up right after Infinity War ends. So it is a couple of weeks later.
It's for the most part. 22 days.
It's like a month.
Almost a month. And, you start off with... I thought it was cool that Tony and Nebula were playing paper football.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of good moments of them. I mean, his performance in this movie in general is just amazing. But him specifically in the beginning, he's just classic Tony. Mm-hmm. They don't even really... it's kind of, everything they show in the beginning is pretty much what you see in the trailer. Yeah. I don't think you see anything from there's maybe one or two shots from the end of the movie that they put in the trailer, but really everything's from the first half hour on, which is kind of amazing that they got people to be invested just based on that alone.
Yeah.
But yeah, it gets right into him and Nebula. They have some bond. They bond. Yeah, and then he comes back.
Yep. And then
Captain Marvel saves him.
Captain Marvel
What'd you think of that?
saves the day. I knew it was gonna happen. I kind of wanted Pepper to go and do it, but
Right.
I don't think she really would want to because that's kind of risky.
Right. Yeah, she's not really trained in that regard.
But and is she expecting at that point? Because
it's 5 years. Oh,
because she could be expecting at that point. Yeah.
Right.
'Cause
maybe he finds out because the kid is like.
Got to be 5, at least like 4.5 going on 5, like.
Right. I don't know. See, that's tricky. I don't know.
So does she want to risk?
Right.
That
I mean,
going
I think
space?
I think it's just cooler to see Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
It shows that Captain Marvel has been working with
The
the team,
Avengers. Yeah.
the whoever's left of the Avengers, which is also kind of interesting because the post-credit scene of Captain Marvel, spoiler, this is a spoiler for that. I mean, if you haven't seen that, I don't know what you're doing. But she was responding to the beeper, which that scene is not even in the movie.
Nope.
Which is kind of interesting how they just like they don't even have time for that. They don't even have time to recap what's going on. So she's there, she's with the Avengers, and then it gets really emotional because when he gets saved, he's weak and frail.
He's like minutes from he's literally minutes from dying. Like
right.
It was terrible to see, and I mean the CGI it looked good. It looked pretty good.
Yeah, it was kind of you knew something like he looked gone. Like he was gone.
Yeah,
and he really lays into.
He lays into the team because you know what he feels that he was right. He needed a suit of armor around the world, so this did not happen. But we now know that
I guess it would have happened.
You could travel no matter like the space stone you could use just to travel to Earth, so it didn't really matter.
Right. I think the big part of that was he believed that if they had not fought and Civil War had not happened, they would have still been together. They would have been unified.
Yeah,
and then maybe they could have stopped Thanos, which could partially could be true. Really, yeah. I think they kind of leave that open ended for that. For that reason, but it's just there's a lot of feels happening when he shows up because it's just the first time they have interacted
since 2016
so it's been like 2
years
right because it's 2018 and then time jump.
Then we hit the time jump. We jump 5 years into the future.
And life is really kind of bad for...
Life is bad for the world. Thanos goes on later to say in the movie that I thought society would thrive if they had the chance to, if they only had half the people. But we see that that shot from Ellis Island, the shot from City Field, that...
It's just like the world is not even...
The world is over. Like,
yeah.
Everyone's just so devastated. Like, when they showed... San Francisco looked a little bit better, but New York was just destroyed. Like no one gave a fuck anymore.
I that was really kind of surprising. Like honestly, there was a scene with the director as a cameo where he plays someone. He like Captain America is like a support group, and he kind of talks to people and helps them move on. That's what they do in their free time. Like they just like they grieve about their lost ones, and he says how he goes on a date and he ends up crying. Like both of them end up crying.
Yeah, it was funny because his date cried before the appetizers, and then he cried before dessert. It was just
like it just shows that like life is not good.
No, life is at a terrible, I'd say.
So Hawkeye's like murdering people now. He's Ronin, and then mostly everyone splits up. So that's kind of the surprising part too. Like Captain Marvel goes to another planet,
multiple other planets. She can't
new haircut.
Before the time jump happened, I forgot to mention this. She's like Black Widow says, "Oh, where are you? Where were you when this was happening?" And she was like, "Well, the Earth had you guys. No one else has that in the millions of other planets that exist."
Right.
So she can't, she's spread thin. She's doing all that she can.
Also, before the time jump, they kill Thanos. I think I forget that part.
Yeah, they do kill Thanos.
Yeah, which is honestly didn't matter. They tried to get the stones, and that doesn't really matter.
Yeah, they tried. Well, he used the stones, and then they see that they used the stones because they measured the cosmic radiation from Earth, and it matched on the planet he was on when he was retired. Which honestly, Thanos just fucking goat. He had his armor, just like laid out like he just put his jersey in the rafters after he won the finals.
Yeah. But so he goes, they all go to kill him. They get the stones.
So
they can undo the snap, and he's like, nope, they're fried.
Yeah.
The gauntlet's fried.
Gauntlet's been fried, but
he destroyed the stones.
Yeah.
So really,
he's looking very bad too.
Yeah, he looked like he
had a stroke.
Yeah, but I think from using the stones, it obviously did something to him. But, so then Thor just kills him.
Yep, Thor just like, I'm tired of this, chops off his head.
But, yeah, I think it matters, but at the same time, like, it didn't matter. It didn't really affect anything.
No, it just really. Kind of, Thor just got his piece. He said, or who said it? Who said, what are you doing? Someone said it. I think it was Cap or Rocket. He said, what are you doing? And then he's like, I went for the head.
Yeah. Which...
Too little, too late, Thor.
Right.
Too little, too late.
Right. I mean, and then the time jump happens, and then we're kind of, then this new world is kind of, they're building this, what life is like 5 years later, and it's sad for the most part, honestly. But so after that, then
they show Rocket doing his thing. The Wakandans are still trying to hold down Africa, and they get a report from Rhodey that an entire Mexican drug cartel was murdered. And it looked like he said it looked like they didn't even have a chance to aim their guns at the guy.
Right.
So, and it's obviously Ronin. So.
Yeah.
But,
so, yeah. And, and also then Thor.
That's later on, though.
That's later on?
Yeah, we'll talk
about it later on.
But
it's kind of it's like, when it happens, the movie, you're like...
There's so much to do.
There's so much to unpack, honestly.
Sorry if we go back to something.
Yeah.
Because it's rough.
It's like...
But then,
You see it once, and it's a 3-hour movie. It's a lot to take in, definitely.
Yeah. So... But then, Nat and James are talking, and she's just like, I gotta get him back. I gotta help him. Right. And he's like, I think he's too far gone at this point.
Yeah.
Which, obviously, the trailer shows he's not.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you need that to, like, kind
of... Then it cuts off to San Francisco, where Ant-Man's van has been put into storage.
Yeah.
And then a rat, thank God for that fucking rat.
I know.
A rat activates the...
that was kind of like... When I saw that, I was like, what are the odds?
Yeah, what are the odds?
Of this? I mean, unless, would have just done it anyway. Yeah. I don't know. But...
So he gets out of the quantum realm thanks to a rat. And...
The rat is kind of the hero of the movie. 100%. Because that rat actually...
That wouldn't have happened. Like Tony would have gave up. Like, Steve would have gave up. That's it.
Yeah.
So...
Or moved on, as they say.
Moved on, yeah. So then Ant-Man, he was there for 5 hours, he said. And in actuality, he was there for 5 years. So he then, takes his van, drives all the way from San Francisco to New York. After discovering he had been lost, he was one of the reported vanished people. Just because they didn't know where he was, obviously, so they just assumed he was, dusted. Mm-hmm. And then he goes and reunites with his daughter, who is now, I want to say, like, 15, 16. I feel like she was, like, 10 or 11 in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah.
So, that was pretty cool that, she didn't get dusted. She was still alive, because that's, like, it was his main concern. Right. And then he takes his van, drives from San Francisco all the way to New York.
Right. Like, that kind of doesn't make sense, but...
No, it does. He just drove.
Well... Yeah.
Like, because it just, stop for gas every here and there, and, stop for food. And,
right.
But
yeah.
Then he goes to upstate New York with this plan to, he pretty much tells Captain America and Steve. I'll just call Steven Nat. It's just simpler.
Yeah.
He tells Steven Nat that he was there for 5 hours when it was really 5 years. So he thinks that they can manipulate it and go back in time and stop this.
Yeah.
And then they, with a very nice Audi, by the way. Very nice Audi for 2023 and, the world being in chaos.
Right.
They had a very nice Audi. I was like, wow, that was great. But they go to Tony's house, which is now on a lake, which is very nice. He moved away from the big city. And he has a daughter.
Yeah, he has a daughter, which is
Morgan Stark.
Yeah. I mean, they literally call us an Infinity War.
Yeah.
So it was a nice kind of like,
again, full circle.
Everything that they teased in these other movies, in general, everything they bring back.
Yep.
Which is kind of amazing. But so he has a daughter now, and I guess it was right for him to be hesitant about going back.
Yeah, so then, Captain America
and
all them, they're just like, they think there's a way that we could do this. And then
he's like, I can't risk. He's like,
well, I didn't really lose. I look what I gained. I can't risk losing this now. Like, yeah, I lost. He's like, well, you didn't really, because I think Ant-Man was like, oh, you didn't really lose anyone, and he's like, I did, the kid, and and then he's doing dishes later, and then he sees the picture of him and Peter. And he's just like,
let me see if I can do
Let me see if this is possible.
And then he literally cracks time travel overnight.
Probably not even 12 hours, probably 10 hours.
He literally just runs a test and he figures it out. Which I guess for the plot, they just needed to simplify, but it makes sense. And then I guess we should just talk about the time travel stuff in general, because there's a lot to, instead of going beat by beat.
Because when he says no, they then go to Bruce. So like, try and do this.
And now he's Professor Hulk.
He's Hulk.
He's a mix of Bruce and Hulk. So somewhere in the middle. He's not full Hulk and he's not Bruce. He's a happy medium, which is kind of amazing.
Is the best.
Yeah.
You get the
and
best
he's
of both
dabbing.
worlds.
He's dabbing. He dabbed. In 2023.
He dabbed.
So that's already a dated reference now. 2023. Which is honestly the point, because he's supposed to be like out of touch, and that selfie scene was great.
It was great.
Like, honestly, like, so funny, and he's having the time of his life making these movies. I feel like he really likes being in them, and it's just so fun. Like, it's that scene in general is just a lot of fun. And then Tony comes back and is like, well, they do some tests and they screw it up.
Well, no, they didn't screw it up. They did do it successfully, but they just couldn't control it.
So now Tony's back. He's like, I can do this. Hands cat back his iconic shield.
Yeah, it was funny because he had there was all Morgan's toys on top of it, and then he just kind of shimmies them off.
Yeah.
Oh, here you go. This was happened to me in my trunk.
And he's like, his dad would have wanted him to have it, which I thought was a nice.
He's like, he made it for you.
Yeah,
so.
and they let bygones be bygones, and they kind of made up, which was nice. And then we get to this big chunk of the movie, which is they go back in time.
Well, I think you're jumping a little too far ahead.
Why?
Because now that they know they could do this, now that they're building it, Rocket and Hulk, they go to get Thor.
Oh, I forgot that Thor was.
They go to get Thor.
There's so much in this movie. Oh my god.
They meet up with Valkyrie, and she says something funny. She's like, I don't really like this you. She says to the Hulk, I don't really like this you. I kind of like you, either human or monster. So I thought that was funny.
Yeah. And
then she says that Thor might not see you because he only comes down for supplies, and the supplies is beer. Yeah. So you see kegs and kegs of beer just chilling.
Yeah. And you really don't know what to expect at this point, and then. And you see,
and then they go to Thor's house, and then they just open they knock, they open, and then they see Thor, and he has let himself go completely.
He has long hair,
long beard,
a beer gut, the biggest gut you've ever seen.
I wouldn't even call it a gut. I'd call it it's another being. His gut existed.
He was pregnant, pretty much.
Yeah, he was
honestly, it was. insane.
No, it was very funny. And then you see Korg playing some Fortnite.
Yeah.
Shout out to I think it was really cool that Fortnite and Marvel collab to bring us not only that game mode but also in the game, and then
the skins.
Yeah,
and now
it's in the movie.
Now they're so it's going full circle again.
Yeah.
So so then Thor was, oh my god. It was actually. What did you think of his character overall?
I thought
are you happy with how they kind of let Thor go? Like Infinity War, he's so powerful. Now this movie,
I mean,
they nerfed him a little bit.
It's not really. Yeah, they nerfed him, but
I think for his character development, they needed to do this. Also, because Chris Hemsworth doesn't want to keep playing the same Thor.
Yeah, it's something different. It's
something different.
It's nice.
Like he had his time in Infinity War to kind of do what he wanted. Mm-hmm. Now it's time, to let the other, cast members shine, and he can kind of. Although his part is big, he still has a big part.
No, he still has a big part.
Yeah, but he's gone through a lot, as you can see. And if you go through his looks, he's the one who's changed the most throughout the whole series. From Thor to, even Thor 2, he looks a little, he's such a baby, really, in the first Thor.
Yeah.
He's so young.
Like he has the long hair, but doesn't have the beard.
Right, or it's shorter. Like, it's long hair, but it's shorter. And then, now here he is. And then, so he joins them, kind of reluctantly. Tony calls him the Big Lebowski, which is kind of great, because he honestly looked like, he was so disheveled looking.
Yeah.
But it's funny, it's really you needed this relief because it's a very serious movie, sort of later on, but even now it's like serious, and they're trying to get so they kind of come up with their plan to make the stones, and then I'm just gonna cut, we don't have to go over everything.
Yeah, no.
So the next chunk of the movie is them getting the stones.
Yeah. So they have enough Pym particles they did 2 test runs, which one was a fucking fail. And they did one where they sent Hawkeye back in time to his family, and he
had to see them. So
he knew
it
was possible. He knew that this is something.
He actually didn't get to see them.
He didn't see them, but he heard them.
Yeah, so he knew.
But he was back on the farm, and
right,
just good memories. So they had enough Pym particles for everyone to go and come back, and that was it. So we start with...
So you go to New York in 2012 specifically because that's when the Mind Stone and it's the Tesseract and the Scepter are there,
and also
and the Time Stone.
The Time Stone
was with the what's it called?
The ancient one.
No, but what's the place called? I'm blanking.
I don't remember.
Sanctum Sanctorum.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So Bruce goes to get the Time Stone, and then Cap and Tony and Ant-Man try to get the Tesseract. Mm-hmm. And this plays out so funny.
It's hilarious.
Because you're seeing everything from a different... Like, they show literally the scene of them spinning around, the camera spinning around them in Avengers, and they're now in that again. And you're seeing their younger selves with them, with the older, and it's just so funny. Like, it's so well done, and really, like, genius on Marvel for doing this, because they have... I don't know. It's just so funny, and you see kind of the aftermath of what happened in the first movie, the first Avengers, so you don't get to see. Mm-hmm. So you see like Shield coming in and
grabbing the scepter and the Tesseract, and Tony actually had the Tesseract, and then Shield goes takes it from him in the lobby.
Right, and then Cap is with them. They do a great callback to the elevator scene from Winter Soldier.
I thought he played it smart. I thought he was gonna say. So before we start, does anyone want to get out?
You're supposed to think that.
I was waiting for that.
I thought he was going to do that, and then he says, Hail Hydra, which is honestly...
amazing.
Like, so perfect. It's calling back all the other movies. And so they had Jasper Sitwell, who's from Winter Soldier. They had Rumlow, who plays Crossbones in Civil War, but he also was in Winter Soldier. Mm-hmm. They were never in these movies, but these characters are now... S.H.I.E.L.D. was a thing, so... And then they have, in the lobby, they have Robert Redford back from Winter Soldier. So it was a lot of, like... And then you're starting to see, like, wait, are they, like, bringing back, like, all these actors, like, from the whole 10-year span? And you're right, because...
They are.
Bruce sees the Ancient One, Tilda Swinton, in when he tries to get the stone, and she's like, no, I'm not giving you the stone.
Yeah. And then he says, well...
Like Stephen Strange said to, and then she's like, wait, well, Stephen Strange doesn't have him for another 5 years. And you're like, oh my god. Like, she knew that he would be the Sorcerer Supreme, which is kind of amazing.
Yeah.
So much really to talk. Like, there's so much going on in these movies in general, but that scene was just great. Like, great callback. I wouldn't really call it fan service. I think for the plot, they needed to get these stones. But, like, overall, to recap, they get the time stone.
Well, I feel like this is something we have to talk about.
Okay.
So the Ancient One says, well, if if you take the time stone, then our reality is going to be in danger, and then it's going to mess up your reality in the future. And then, well, Bruce Banner comes up with a way to use the stones in the future, and then...
Put them back.
You have to put them back in the exact same spot that you got them, so it doesn't mess up anything. And this works out for the Time Stone, the Mind Stone, but it does not work out with the Tesseract. Because it was going to work, and then Old Hulk came smashing through the stairs because he wasn't allowed on the elevator because he's 1,000 pounds.
Right.
So then he lost it.
And Loki takes it.
And then Loki takes it, and
then
he's gone.
He's gone. He uses it, vanishes, and then you don't know where it is.
So that means that there is another reality where Loki is alive. He does not die on that ship in Infinity War.
Well, and this is where it gets kind of confusing, because maybe he does... I don't even want to get into it, because there's too much to really talk.
Maybe he does.
Like, I don't know.
But
at this point, I think everything's kind of left unanswered, because at some point he does have to... Like, I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know what happens, because they steal this. They then take the... So, Tony and Cap have to go back in time to the 70s and get the Tesseract there, because they know S.H.I.E.L.D. has it.
And more Pym Particle, because they use their two jumps. Right.
So that's the part where they all have,
Yeah. So if they... Because if Tony was wrong and Hank Pym did not work for S.H.I.E.L.D. yet... They're screwed. They're stuck in whatever time they went to.
1970, whatever.
Yeah. But luckily, Hank Pym was there, so they were able to get more Pym particles to go back.
Right. And the most important things that really happened in time, you see a young Michael Douglas, de-aged, great. You see older but younger Howard Stark, because we see him in every age of his life now, and Tony gets to say goodbye to his dad.
He does.
Which is a great scene. He talks to him, and he's very nervous talking to him. He was stuttering, and it was kind of surreal. Because a callback to the first Iron Man movie where he's like, I never had to say goodbye to my dad. And now here it is. So you're sensing that things are happening.
Yeah.
And also Cap gets to see Peggy. He sees her and he's like, wait, I get to see her again? Like, what is going on? Like, what are the odds of this happening?
Exactly. That concludes. They got the Tesseract out of 1970 and more Pym particles, so they could make the jump back home. Right. And then we fast forward to Morag.
So they're kind of cutting between all of these. I mean, some get kind of left out, out for a while while they focus on others.
Yeah.
But we see Cap and they're trying to get these stones. Nat and Hawkeye are trying to get the
Soul Stone from Vormir.
Already like, and as the audience, like, you're like, oh god, like, what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And it's just funny how they play it out. And then also while this is happening, War Machine and Rhodey and Nebula are trying to get
the Power
Stone, which is from Guardians. And again, funny.
Yeah.
There's a lot of little things that happen, like Thanos knows he can see into,
Yeah, so
I don't think we should go
real quick. It won't be that long. So, old Nebula, like, she has her circuit shorts, and then she could see what current Nebula is doing back in 2014. So now Thanos knows then he searches her memory. He knows that he completes his job. He decimates Half-Life.
Yeah.
And he gets his head chopped off by Thor, and he dies. And he said, "That's my destiny. I'm still gonna do it." He doesn't care that he dies.
So they very easily get the Power Stone.
Yeah,
they just knock
Peter
Chris Pratt
Quill.
out, which is so funny. He's like it's literally the opening scene from Guardians, and they do it so it's so well done. It's so well done. They obviously I think they use some of the old footage, but also some new footage.
Yeah, they had because you
right.
gotta have him get knocked out.
Right. But just so well done and so funny and. As you're watching this, I was like, I can't believe this is happening. Like we're experiencing this again. And it's a lot of throwbacks like that. And then finally, Soul Stone.
Then we get to Vormir, Red Stone, or Red Skull. I'm sorry, Red Skull.
The Red Skull's there. Does the same spiel that he gives in Infinity War.
Yeah, that soul for soul, and instead of them trying to kill each other, they both try to kill themselves.
Right. They're such good people that they both want to jump off for
one each other. And as Natalie's jumping off, he shoots an explosive arrow at her, and then he goes to jump off, and then she hits him with a grapple, and then. And then he gets grappled to the side, and then she jumps.
She says whatever it takes,
and then he grabs her, and then
they do it very suspensefully. You don't really know at that point. You don't really know who's gonna.
I called. Well,
I figured
I didn't say anything in the theater, but I said I was like, oh, she's dead.
Yeah. I mean, the only reason why he was doing it so he could be with his family.
Exactly.
I'm sure also he would have 100% risked his life to get it.
100%.
But she knew that he had a lot more to live for than her. And it's kind of sad because she
does have that
this was her idea to kind of bring everyone back anyway. She was, rooting for it so much during the movie, but it was sad. It was definitely, and that's the first time I cried.
Yeah. It was Black Widow's death. So Black Widow dead. First death of the movie.
And from there, it's kind of, they get the stones, they go back, and then the last chunk of the movie...
Real quick.
Am I skipping things?
You skip the ether. We skipped the ether. So Thor and Rocket go back to Asgard in 2013.
Yes, they're in Thor the Dark World.
And they Thor ends up... having a panic attack. He's like, I can't do this. I can't be here. Rocket ends up sneaking into Jane's room and getting
Natalie Portman back for 3 seconds of screen time, but whatever.
And she was good there for a good minute because you saw her walking in,
but they don't interact.
No, they don't interact. But he does interact with his mother, which was very nice.
A great scene, something that they were, I know we were talking about how we wish Odin was there, but I kind of. I'm glad he wasn't.
Odin got his time in Ragnarok,
right?
I think.
So she hasn't been involved in a while, so it's nice to see her, and they get to have a nice, touching moment. Honestly, more dialogue she's ever had in I feel like any of these movies. Oh yeah. In any of the Thor movies, but he mentions it in Infinity War, his mother dying, and I almost forgot that even happens. But now, again, going full circle, he gets a nice pep talk from his mother, and. Before he leaves, grabs Mjolnir, because that's very important.
Does grab Mjolnir. And I don't know what it is, but I think Asgardians think that raccoons are rabbits.
Yeah, that's a running joke.
Because they said
maybe
get that
for
rabbit.
them it's they're rabbit.
I guess.
But I don't know.
So now he has Mjolnir, and then...
So they have all the stones now.
Oh, we skipped a big part, too.
Which one?
So as Rhodey and Nebula get the Power Stone, they go back, but Nebula is stopped because she has the same short circuit that old Nebula has.
Right.
And she now knows that Thanos knows, but then she gets captured by Thanos and old Nebula and old Gamora.
Yeah, so, Gamora's back. Another thing we forgot to say.
Gamora's back.
Gamora's back for a little bit.
And then...
Her old self, not new Gamora. So this is where things get kind of confusing because it's Gamora from 2014 before she meets the Guardians. So they never meet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
then Thanos is like, you got to prove yourself to old Nebula. So she takes the missing part.
Yeah.
And the orange part, and then puts it on her.
Yeah.
Which
so they try to confuse.
But her hand fried off when they were grabbing the Power Stone because it was
right.
So that's kind of like a big thing that I don't think she noticed, and then like they also did not notice when they all get back to the compound.
But I think they weren't, because right when they get back, they try to do the snap.
Mm-hmm.
They, Tony builds a gauntlet, an Iron Man gauntlet, which he puts all the stones on, and they see who they all like kind of volunteer to do it. Yeah. But Hulk was like, I'm the only one who can live through this because it's a lot of gamma radiation. Mm-hmm. Puts on the glove, snap. You don't really see anything happen.
You do see Ant-Man's looking out the window, and the world already looks better.
Yeah,
the sun is shining. There's butterflies and birds.
And then Clint gets a call from his wife.
Picks up,
hears her. And he's like, "Oh my god!" And then explosions.
Yeah, Thanos uses the pin particles from New Nebula to
bomb Avengers headquarters.
To travel back and then bomb it.
Yeah.
So...
And now this is a younger Thanos. This is like... He doesn't have any stones or anything.
No stones. But is still able to fight off Cap, Iron Man, and Fat Thor.
Fat Thor. Yeah, that's what we're calling him, Fat Thor.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what I like better. I like Fat Thor, though. Fat Thor was very cool with his Stormbreaker and Mjolnir combo.
Yes.
Then what you are experiencing is a really cool fight between the three main Avengers, I would say, and Thanos. Very cool. And then this is where the waterworks started coming out.
This is where the unthinkable starts.
Yeah, and this is when I start crying because I as a fan and as someone who's been watching these movies since day one. I mean, I'm wearing an OG Iron Man shirt, which I got in 2008. It still fits me, which is kind of scary. But I was young then. I was 13 when it came out.
Yeah.
And now I'm almost 25. I'll be 25 in a couple weeks, and these movies have changed my life. So to see what I was seeing in the theater, I just could not stop crying. Yeah. I was like, I didn't understand why I was crying. But I then realized it was because this was literally everything. Everything they've set up in these previous movies comes to fruition. And Cap grabs Mjolnir.
He doesn't only grab Mjolnir. He calls for it. Because I think Thor called for it, and then Thanos kind of like hit him out of the way, and then Cap grabs it.
Yeah. And then it's just such a...
Then Thor's like, wow, I knew he was worthy.
Unbelievable moment. And it's like everything you've expected in life is here, and then it's like unbelievable things are happening. So Thanos calls in his troops, and there's like so many Chitauri and everything. And then Cap
even Cap with Mjolnir and the shield is not powerful enough to bring down Thanos, which is the scary part going forward. So then Thanos actually ends up knocking out Thor and Iron Man.
Right.
They're down for the count. And it's just Cap versus an army. And then out of nowhere, you see
all these circles.
Oh, see all these circles forming, and
Black Panther comes out.
They come out first, and everyone just starts coming out.
And then it's just everyone who died in the snap is now back. And then what I experienced was the best battle of all time, because it's 100%. Literally every Marvel character versus Thanos.
Yeah,
every single Marvel character. You got Ant-Man the Wasp, Valkyrie, not Captain Marvel yet, but
Rescue.
Pepper's in her suit. And Doctor Strange.
Wong, but by the way, fuck Wong. Wong was like, "Yo, y'all going to fight Thanos? Man, I gotta go home and eat. But you all have fun.
You gotta protect the Sanctum. But I guess the Sanctum doesn't need guarding now because they would be dead. So, and all these people from Doctor Strange, they did that very nicely with all the people that use the sling ring, all the sorcerers, Doctor Strange himself. Honestly, unbelievable.
Amazing. Amazing scene.
Unbelievable. And then I just start crying. I couldn't really help
myself.
And
then with the shield and Mjolnir in his hand, Cap says the famous lines.
The famous... Avengers assemble. And then that's when I really was like, oh god, I can't take this anymore.
And your sister started screaming too.
There's the reaction from the audience was kind of great. Yeah. Just these directors are just amazing. Yeah. They're very good at what they do.
Mm-hmm. But now, because shout out to these actors too, and everyone who worked on the movie, because they finished Infinity War and then jumped right into the Endgame. Yeah, there was no break. They did not have a break. So now we know why, because they needed from they ended like late 2016, I think, like November. They announced they ended Infinity War, and then they started it right up again.
So they filmed this back to back, and I mean I can only imagine. If you thought Civil War had a lot of people in it,
not even close.
Yeah, Falcon. Mm-hmm. Falcon goes on your left, calling back from Winter Soldier. Mm-hmm. Bucky. It was just like unbelievable what was happening, and honestly, like the movie needed this moment, and it's well earned. It's well deserved and well earned. They earned this from their fans. I'm not sure who earns it really. They've earned the trust of us, where we'll see what we'll deal with their outlandish like time travel things, because in the end game it was worth it in the long run, and we sat through 22 movies to get to this point, because every character from every 22 movies is in this.
Yep.
Who's alive?
Yeah.
Like no villains, obviously, but it's just so well done, and I'm getting emotional thinking about it. But I'm not gonna cry.
You sure? Should we have brought tissues?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
But it was just so surreal, I think. I think that's a better word for it. Surreal to see everyone here fighting Thanos for the living, and it was just great. It was just great. Especially like Valkyrie and Scarlet Witch and Gamora fighting as old Gamora. The Guardians, Nebula, everyone's there fighting for life, and the ability, to say Groot. It's like literally every character, which is so many by now. I mean, there's so many characters and franchises.
Yeah, it was insane, and then all the Wakandans were there.
Right.
It was
So it was like Wakanda, everyone from Wakanda. Bucky, I said these names already, but just everyone you could possibly think of, and it's amazing. It's honestly amazing, and that's why I was crying. So,
no, it was.
But the tears didn't stop there. Unfortunately,
the tears did not stop there,
because
the battle goes on.
Yeah, and Captain Marvel shows up.
Captain Marvel does show up
out of nowhere,
and nukes the plane. Or
she somehow flies through the plane, but can't fly through Thanos. We learn. So
Thanos is more powerful than Captain Marvel, because he holds her off. So, it's kind of... And then comes the scary moment where Thanos retrieves the Iron Man gauntlet.
Yeah.
He retrieves it, and he goes to snap his fingers.
And there's no... Well, before that, happens. Stephen Strange looks at Tony, gives him a look, and holds up one finger. And then that was his clue to him that this is the only way you can
win.
You can win is with you.
So Thanos goes to snap his fingers, and
the stones aren't there.
And
Tony has it the whole time.
Tony has the stones.
And then what did Thanos say? What was his last? He goes, "I am destiny," or "I am here," or something.
I'm inevitable.
I'm inevitable. And then Tony looks at him and says, "I am
Iron Man."
And then snaps his fingers. And then
and then everything turns to dust. All the
Chitauri, Thanos, presumably putting them back in their original timeline. They don't confirm it, but I mean...
because he doesn't really exist in that time yet.
Right.
He's dead in
it's that very confusing. So the only kind of gripe I had... There's a couple of gripes with the movie. Very few. But because it's so ambitious, I can kind of forgive it. But at this point, they really don't explain what happens to all these people that get dusted, because they're... And the time travel is always kind of confusing, obviously, so I'm not going to get into it that much. But they sacrifice telling the audience, really what's going on so that they can, really sit with Tony's death and kind of come to terms with that.
Oh, yeah, and Tony dies, by the way.
Yeah, we didn't say that, but it was kind of assumed. He snaps his fingers and then Peter, I forgot to say Spider-Man is back. There's so many characters that you forget.
Yeah.
But, and then they play that scene in reverse from Infinity War. He's like Mr. Stark. But
we won.
But really, Tony, he was just gone at that point. He doesn't even say anything. His last words are, "I am Iron Man," which I feel like it's very fitting.
Yeah. Which is sad because Rhodey and Pepper knew that he was dead, and they're just letting Peter, to try to talk to him, and it's just sad. And then, that's it.
It just and then the last there's a significant chunk after after everything ends. You got Tony's funeral, which literally everyone's there for.
Even Harley from Iron Man 3.
They got the kid from Iron Man 3 back, and everyone's there. Mm-hmm. Even Hank Pym. Everyone's there, but they realize after the funeral that they need to put the stones back to the timeline. So Cap volunteers. Says, "Oh, she'll be back in 5 seconds."
Yep. And then does not come back.
Does not come back. And then you kind of see a man on a bench.
Mm-hmm. And
it's old Captain America.
Captain America. He ended up staying back in...
Okay, so here's where another part where it gets kind of confusing. Because he goes back, I'm assuming, to the 70s to put the stone there, right? Well, that's when they take it.
He put all the stones back.
He puts all the stones back.
So that probably was the last one, and then it just stays there.
But when he's with Peggy, that's in the 50s. So I think he does another time jump and goes... Yeah. So he puts all the stones back, and then he goes back... Because the cars were older. Like, they show you Peggy and Cap dancing, which is a callback to, the first Avenger movie. Very sad, very touching. Mm-hmm. And they show him and her dancing. So I don't know what that means, because then it cuts back to the present. Cap is sitting on the bench. He's got a wedding ring on, which Falcon asks him about, but he doesn't say who it is. I mean, I guess you're supposed to assume it's Peggy, but it doesn't really. There are plot holes in that regard, which maybe we'll do in a follow-up video, because there's a lot to talk about, and I'm assuming after Far From Home comes out, we'll kind of see what's going on. But yeah, he gets married and lives a life, which is what Tony tells him to do. It's
get a life.
He
didn't say it in that regard, but
he wanted to live a normal life, which he gets to do after even saving the world, which he gets a good ending. He gets he gets to either live with Peggy in some alternate reality that doesn't come to play, or he gets to see her for a little bit, but then live his own life in the shadows, and while also his younger present self gets taken out of the ice. Like, that still all happens because they can't screw up the timeline. But so some way he ends up maintaining the timeline, but also having a life. It's not specified with who or whatever, but
imagine he killed himself so he could just live.
Right, like, I don't know. Like, it's very odd, but they don't want to take away from the ending, so they don't really do a lot of explaining. Yeah. But you see, it's now 2023, and all these characters are mixed in with their younger self, with their younger, some people have aged, some people haven't. It's just kind of an odd universe, which they'll have to explain in, the movies coming out soon.
Or in the shows coming out as well.
Yeah, so there's a lot of shows. The only thing we can really talk about was Cap gives the shield to Falcon.
Yeah,
I think that's
Falcon is I knew he was going to be the new
Captain America. He's going to be the new Captain America, but he will use the shield.
I mean,
I think it was a nice passing of the baton. I kind of wish Bucky would get it.
Fuck Bucky.
I love Bucky. But I like that Falcon gets it, and it was just that kind of symbolic gesture that he was moving on. Yeah. That was really it. Mm-hmm. I don't think he might not even use the shield, because you have to be it's kind of hard to fly with the shield. I don't know.
You can always tinker his suit too.
Right. But I think he's still going to be the Falcon, because the show is not called Bucky and Cap. It's called Bucky and Falcon.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, he'll definitely like. I'll probably pass it around.
Right.
But he does pass the torch off to Sam.
Yeah, which is a nice moment, and that's kind of where the movie ends.
Yep.
And you're left with kind of all these questions. Mm-hmm. I mean, a few other things we should just talk about quickly. I would say, overall, loved it. I really feel like you need to see this twice, though. Yeah. To really, I mean, especially for me, because I was crying through a lot of it. I mean, I obviously experienced it, but I wasn't like full on crying. There were like tears coming out.
Yeah, no,
it was like tears of joy. I think.
My tears were just. I wasn't really crying. I wasn't like ha 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 crying. I was kind of just like sitting there and tears just happened.
Right. That's kind of. I mean, maybe more so than you, but
yeah.
I was just so it was so like amazing to see all this happening, and as a fan who's been there since day one, it was really, really emotional. It was just emotional because it was an end to this 22 movie saga, and now there's one more movie in this phase before they go to phase 4, which they haven't announced anything for. Which
we are actually going to D23, so we'll be there.
Right.
Hopefully, we'll bring this little setup and
hopefully we can get
something.
Have some coverage of the event, but we'll be there, so hopefully we can talk about it. But I mean, any last minute things you want to talk about? I have one. It's very minor.
Oh, let's go.
Okay, so it's in the 70s. They they go to see Howard Stark, whatever, and they show Jarvis from the Agent Carter show. So if you guys aren't aware, Jarvis is actually Howard Stark's butler / whatever in the show. They write that into the ABC Agent Carter show with Dominic Cooper playing Howard, not this actor who is from Mad Men. I forgot his name, John Slattery.
Yeah,
John Slattery. Okay, so it's a little different, but it's the first time they've ever done something from the show, put it back in a movie.
Yep.
And it was a little nod, but it was something. And it shows that I think they're taking it, going forward with their shows, they're going to do a lot better job of connecting. Mm-hmm. Why wasn't Daredevil there?
Why wasn't...
Where's Luke Cage?
Where's Daisy Johnson?
Where's, Phil Coulson?
He wasn't really he's not really a fighter.
Right, okay. Powers, but anyway.
It would have been cool if he was at the funeral.
Right.
Tony Stark's funeral.
It's okay. I'm okay with that not happening. This was just such a minor thing that I think I'm glad that they kind of showed.
Yeah.
But for you, is there anything else you want to talk about? Like any last minute little things?
I don't really know.
Yeah, I think we kind of went through the whole movie.
Yeah.
But the only kind of gripes I would say have, it is a long movie.
There's something.
Okay.
So, as Guardians of the Galaxy. At the end, right. Thor does join
the Guardians, I guess. So the thing to note out, Star-Lord Peter Quill was looking at his screen and it said searching for Gamora. So he's looking for her. Mm-hmm. I don't know if she's in the original time. Like I don't really know what's going on if she's still out there, but she's an anomaly, so they have to put her back. Mm-hmm. But she's dead. Like her character is dead. The only version of her that it would exist would be
a past one,
right? But in Guardians 3, maybe there's something to do with the Soul Stone, and maybe they can somehow get her back. But as of now, she's dead.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to see, Thor with the Guardians. I think he's kind of overpowered for them, though.
Well, maybe.
But maybe he'll just have like a kind of supporting role in the movie. But I'm interested. I mean, it's coming out soon. I don't know. Not soon. It's announced.
It's announced. Yeah.
With James Gunn writing and directing.
Exactly. Back. Yo, he pulled the finesse. He honestly, he got other work, and then they came back and said, "Yeah, we want you." So now he's doing the Suicide Squad, Guardians 3, and I'm sure DC will want him to do other stuff. So he pulled the finesse.
I mean, good for him.
Yeah.
He deserves it.
Yeah,
but
he does. He's a very good director.
Yeah. So we'll have to just see where it goes going forward. There's really nothing announced besides Far From Home, which comes out in July, which is a couple of months. So we have some time to decompress. And this movie's going to make a lot of money. Mm-hmm. It already made a ton, but it's going to make a lot. So
I say it makes $1 billion by Sunday.
I don't know.
I say it does. Oof. It's already at
I don't think physically.
It's already at like $300 million.
That's just worldwide. Like, that's just... You think worldwide $1 billion?
Yeah, worldwide. Okay. Not just U.S., no, worldwide. Worldwide.
I think it's going to be the highest grossing movie of all time, though.
Yeah.
Definitely. Mm-hmm. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we sign off?
I think that's it.
All right. So, that was our first episode of this podcast show, whatever we're calling it. I'm Jonathan. Please subscribe to our channel if you like this video.
Comment your theories. Yeah. Maybe comment some time travel stuff.
Can they bring back Tony Stark?
Can they bring him back?
Can they bring back Black Widow? There's also a Black Widow movie coming out, which you don't know anything about.
It'll probably just be an origin movie.
Yeah.
No, I'm looking at it.
But, they're obviously thinking about things. And now they have the X-Men properties. They can kind of... Probably not integrate them for a while, but they're there. So.
Avengers versus X-Men.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we're going to see another Avengers movie for at least 10 to 15 years.
10?
I think 10 years. I think they're going to... I don't think there's anything to avenge.
I think 5.
I don't know.
I say 5.
We'll have to see, honestly.
We'll find out at D23?
Yeah, we'll find out. But I don't know if they would announce that. They haven't announced anything.
They will probably announce an untitled Avengers film. That's always what they do. It's always untitled.
All right. I don't know if I can handle it.
Well,
I think they're going to take a break, though. From at least the Avengers. They'll have, they have their TV shows to do, so.
TV shows, solo movies.
All right, so.
Doctor Strange sequel, Black Panther sequel.
Right.
Hopefully Secret
Captain
Empire.
Marvel. Guardians. Mm-hmm. So. All right, so with that, please comment, like, and subscribe. The usual. And check out our new channel. I mean, there's not going to be a lot on there, but hopefully get some other videos soon. And if you have a specific topic you want us to talk about, let us know, because we're down.
We love to talk and chat about
different stuff, games.
Maybe we could even do
TV shows, whatever.
Maybe we can do even like a whole MCU review.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know, it's a lot. We talked an hour about this movie, so with that,
we'll catch you guys later.
Peace.